If you have evidence that Joe Biden, not Hunter Biden, but that Joe Biden broke the law, bring it forward, and if it's impeachable, impeach him. But you don't have that evidence. So you go on a fishing expedition, and all of a sudden you raise the flame of justice in Congress like you're so concerned with the congressional subpoena when you were the one that ignored it the whole time.
Hey everyone, I'm Gabe Sanchez, and welcome back to another episode of What Was That? Adam Kinzinger tore into Jim Jordan after Jordan vowed to pursue contempt of Congress charges against Hunter Biden for defying a congressional subpoena. You know, the exact same thing that Jordan did himself.
What a hypocrite!
Now, for those of you living under a rock or just avoiding political news like it's the plague, hey, no judgment here. But in case you were, Jim Jordan is the congressman who thinks that subpoenas are like optional dinner invitations. You know, RSVP if you feel like it. And he is determined to nail President Biden and his son Hunter.
Phrasing?
Let me rephrase. Jim Jordan, along with James Comer, have made it their sole mission to take down the Biden family, even if they haven't provided any evidence of their alleged wrongdoings.
What is the specific constitutional crime that you're investigating?
Well, we're having an inquiry, so we can do an investigation and compel the production of witnesses.
And what is the crime you're investigating?
And documents. High crimes, misdemeanors, and bribery.
What high crime and misdemeanor are you investigating?
Look, I will, once I get time, I will explain what we're looking at.
The GOP don't even know what they're impeaching Biden over. It's all based on bad faith and their hatred for President Biden. Because let's not forget, Marjorie Taylor Greene filed articles of impeachment against President Biden within 1 day after him taking office, so you know we're not dealing with serious people here. So when it comes to Hunter Biden testifying, James Comer has invited him to do so publicly, like how he did in September on Newsmax.
And Hunter Biden's more than welcome to come in front of the committee. If he wants to clear his good name, if he wants to come and say, you know, these weren't 20 shell companies, they actually did something. He's invited today. We will drop everything.
Yeah, but he's not going to volunteer to do that. We both know that. But if you subpoena him, he then has to.
Or like when he told serial plagiarist Benny Johnson that Hunter had the choice to testify in private or in public.
We have mountains of evidence, and now we're ready to bring him in. We're in the downhill phase of this investigation now because we have so many documents. And we can bring these people in for depositions or committee hearings, whichever they choose.
So when Hunter was subpoenaed by Congress, he and his lawyer wrote back to the committee saying that they would do so in a public hearing. He is making this choice because the committee has demonstrated time and again it uses closed-door sessions to manipulate, even distort the facts, and misinform the American public. A hearing would ensure transparency and truth in these proceedings. Because let's not forget, Jordan and Comer used their hearing with Devin Archer to lie about what was actually said. Andy Biggs even told the press that it was a nothing burger.
Can you talk about the bribe at all? The $5 million bribe?
He didn't know anything about it.
He didn't know anything about that?
No, it was Kim 23. He didn't know anything about that.
So when Hunter called the GOP's bluff and agreed to testify, they moved the goalpost and screamed that's not what they actually meant, and that he must testify first in private before doing so in public.
That's not even a rule!
It has become very clear that Jim Jordan is afraid and he's trying to hide as much as he can to avoid public humiliation. He knows that he doesn't have the evidence to support his baseless claims, and if he did, he would have shown it by now. And just like with Devin Archer's testimony, Jordan needs a private hearing so he can lie to the American people and gaslight anyone who reveals what was actually said. Let's be honest with ourselves, people don't like to read, let alone a transcript. We like to look at photos and watch video, which makes it very hard for Republicans to discredit when it's played live on Fox News. So since the GOP would not allow Hunter to testify in public, he went to the Capitol to give a statement.
James Comer, Jim Jordan, Jason Smith, and their colleagues have distorted the facts by cherry-picking lines from a bank statement, manipulating texts I sent, editing the testimony of my friends and former business partners, and misstating personal information that was stolen from me. There is no fairness or decency in what these Republicans are doing. They have lied over and over about every aspect of my personal and professional life. So much so that their lies have become the false facts believed by too many people. No matter how many times it is debunked, they continue to insist that my father's support of Ukraine against Russia is the result of a non-existent bribe. They displayed naked photos of me during an oversight hearing. And they have taken the light of my dad's love, for me, and presented it as darkness. They have no shame. These same committee chairmen have engaged in unprecedented political interference in what would have already been a 5-year investigation of me. Yet, here I am, Mr. Chairman, taking up your offer when you said we can bring these people in for depositions or committee hearings, whichever they choose. Well, I've chosen. I am here to testify at a public hearing today to answer any of the committee's legitimate questions. Republicans do not want an open process where Americans can see their tactics, expose their baseless inquiry, or hear what I have to say.
And afterward, Jim Jordan, a proud member of the Just Comply party, had this to say about Hunter Biden's subpoena.
Next question.
Are you going forward with contempt?
I'll let you.
There's a process you have to follow. You have to file a report. So we will begin looking at that. Both the lawyers for the Oversight Committee, the lawyers for the Judiciary Committee will move in that direction. But look, when Congress asks you to come, you're supposed to come and testify.
Devin Archer testified.
Last thing, we also found checks from one of Hunter Biden's shell companies that were going into an account for Joe Biden. Monthly. They said that was a loan repayment. Oh yeah, everything's a loan repayment. Well, why did Hunter Biden will have an opportunity in deposition
but Chairman,
to come in
that
and
was
explain
memorialized in emails that you guys leaked from Hunter Biden's laptop.
Thank you.
I would like to have asked Hunter Biden about Mann Act violations. Sex trafficking women across state lines.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
That would have been a good question. You don't seem to care about that, though.
I love how Marjorie Taylor Greene feels so left out that she desperately tried to hijack the press conference at the end. Even Jim Jordan and James Comer are like, okay, you're crazy, that's enough out of you. Press conference is over, let's get back to the grind. Speaking of getting back to the grind, there's nothing like kickstarting your day with a cup of coffee brewed with today's sponsor, Aeropress. Coffee can be great, but we often settle for average coffee at home, at the office, or on the road. It takes too long to brew and doesn't come close to tasting like what the best baristas can make. With Aeropress, you can finally enjoy a cup of coffee that is super easy to make and completely unique in flavor. A little French press, a little espresso, and a little pour over, all in one uniquely delicious cup. Aeropress is like a French press, only better. It's the only press that uses a patented 3-in-1 brew technology, combining the best of several brew methods into one portable device for a completely unique and delicious flavor profile. Smooth, rich, and full-bodied without the bitterness and grit found in other presses. And as a bonus, Aeropress can brew thousands of recipes. Aeropress travels better than others too. It's compact and incredibly durable. That means you'll never have to endure terrible coffee at the hotel, on the job, or on an adventure again. It brews and cleans in less than 2 minutes. Just add medium-fine coffee grounds, pour in hot water, stir for 5 seconds, brew for 30 seconds, then press into your favorite mug and enjoy. There's a reason why Aeropress is the barista's favorite home brewing tool. Aeropress is the best reviewed coffee press on the planet with more than 55,000 5-star reviews. Thoughtful, proven, and under $50. Aeropress is the perfect gift or stocking stuffer for every coffee lover in your life this holiday season. Don't settle for less than the best. They'll love it. Aeropress is shockingly affordable, less than $50, and we've got an incredible offer for our audience. Visit aeropress.com/Gabe. That's AEROPRESS.com/Gabe to save up to 20%. That's aeropress.com/Gabe to save up to 20%. It's time to ditch the drive-thrus, toss the French press, and say yes to better mornings fueled by better coffee. Aeropress ships to the USA and over 60 countries around the world, and we thank Aeropress for sponsoring our show. Now, there's one thing about what Jim Jordan said about Hunter Biden testifying before Congress that I really want to point out.
Look, when Congress asks you to come, you're supposed to come and testify.
Well, that's rich coming from Jordan. This coward still has not complied with the subpoena from the January 6th committee, and it's been almost 600 days. And who better to call out Jim Jordan than his former House Republican colleague, Adam Kinzinger, one of the members of the January 6th committee.
We've heard Republicans speak out after Hunter Biden made his comments. They're not happy. They're not going to stop their investigation, as we know. One thing we heard from Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan is this. He said, when Congress asks you to come testify, you are supposed to come testify. As someone who served on the committee who issued a subpoena to Jim Jordan, which he defied, what are people supposed to take from this?
Well, they're supposed to take that Jim Jordan is an absolute hypocrite. Jim Jordan in front of the Rules Committee when we were talking about holding Steve Bannon or somebody in contempt. He said in front of the Rules Committee that the Department of Justice and the FBI should be the ones investigating Donald Trump, and that would be their role. Now, of course, he's against the Department of Justice and the FBI investigating Donald Trump. He's for the sanctity of the subpoena by U.S. Congress until he's the one that gets subpoenaed by U.S. Congress. And he also votes against enforcing subpoenas against people like Steve Bannon and against people like Mark Meadows. I mean, the hypocrisy is mind-numbing. I am less concerned with what people's view is on positions and what their idea is on policy, as much as I am with there is just open and blatant and unashamed hypocrisy where it's all about winning, it's all about power, and truth and justice really has no role in what they're doing. If you have evidence that Joe Biden, not Hunter Biden, but that Joe Biden broke the law, bring it forward, and if it's impeachable, impeach him. But you don't have that evidence. So you go on a fishing expedition, and all of a sudden you raise the flame of justice in Congress like you're so concerned with the congressional subpoena when you were the one that ignored it the whole time.
Jordan's hypocrisy is even more evident when you remember that Eric Swalwell has made it his mission this year to remind everyone that Jordan has evaded his subpoena like a fucking coward.
So we're going to haul witnesses in here today and claim that they did not comply with subpoenas or requests. And that request is so rich because it's coming from a chairman who himself did not comply with the January 6 committee's request. So May 31, you see a letter sent to then Representative Jordan asking that he honor his subpoena. He was asked over and over and over, you were a witness to a crime. You were a witness to the greatest crime ever committed with the most criminals ever indicted in America. Will you help your country? Will you comply with that subpoena? No compliance, crickets, absolute defiance of the subpoena. And because of that defiance, the chairman was referred, and it's still pending, to the House Ethics Committee. And why? Well, it's because he took an oath. And I want to have the congressional oath put up there, but the congressional oath mandates that members of Congress defend the Constitution without any mental reservation, or as it says on the slide, purpose of evasion. Not responding to a congressional subpoena is a direct purpose of evasion. So this is our chairman, hauling all us here, everyone here today, people at the Department of Justice, the Department of Education, who are doing important work to claim they are out of compliance when he himself is currently out of compliance. It's now 321 days since this subpoena was sent to Jim Jordan that he did not comply with. So it's comical that we are here today under Jim Jordan's leadership asking people why they don't want to comply with subpoenas. The guy won't comply with the one that was sent to him 321 days ago. Witness to a crime, the crime that has led to more arrests than any investigation in America. He's a witness being asked to do his patriotic duty and respond to a subpoena 321 days later. Refuses.
Director, I think it's quite rich that the guy that has accused you of lawlessness and weaponization is 400 days into violation of his own congressional subpoena over January 6th. Quite rich to me that you're hearing all of these allegations from somebody who won't even respond to a lawful subpoena. Mr. Attorney General, my colleague just said that you should be held in contempt of Congress, and that is quite rich because the guy who's leaving the hearing room right now, Mr. Jordan, is about 500 days into evading his subpoena, about 500 days. So if we're going to talk about contempt of Congress, let's get real. I mean, are you serious that Jim Jordan, a witness to one of the greatest crimes ever committed in America, a crime where more prosecutions have occurred than any crime committed in America, refuses to help his country, and we're going to get lectured about subpoena compliance and contempt of Congress? Jim Jordan won't even honor a lawful subpoena? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? There's no credibility on that side. Mr. Attorney General, you are serious, they are not. You are decent, they are not. You are fair, They are not.
It should surprise absolutely no one that Jim Jordan is out here demanding that other people like Hunter Biden comply to subpoenas, but he doesn't have to.
Not really my thing.
At the end of the day, Jim Jordan is terrified of being humiliated and exposed as a liar by Hunter Biden in public on TV. Just like he's terrified of his involvement on January 6th being exposed if he ever complied with a subpoena. Well, that's all for me today. Thanks so much for watching, and feel free to follow me at I am Gabe Sanchez. If you like today's episode and want to support me and the work that I do, you can join my personal Patreon and pick your tier to unlock exclusive content and perks not available to the public. Think of it like having backstage access. You can subscribe today at patreon.com/IamGabeSanchez. So until next episode, I'm Gabe Sanchez, and this has been What Was That?